Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this highly anticipated webinar. I'm Keshav from SecureKloud, and I welcome you all for this enlightening session, which is into the realm of cloud security. I'll be a host for this webinar today. Over the next hour, we'll delve into the intriguing topic, Cloud First, Secure Always, an integrated approach to building a secure cloud foundation with the Zero Trust framework. Before we commence, a few housekeeping details. Our webinar is slated for approximately 1 hour. If you encounter any technical issues during our presentation, kindly reach out through chat and we will assist you promptly. And we also greatly value your participation and your insights are pivotal. So please don't hesitate to interact with us through the chat box. And now I would like to introduce our esteemed panelists for this webinar. First being Mr. Anand Kumar, Chief Revenue Officer at SecureKloud Technologies, boasts over 17 years of international business leadership. His expertise lies in driving innovation, facilitating transformation, and ensuring organizations maximize the cloud value securely, compliantly, and efficiently. He is also known for his ability to create highly effective sales teams and lead strategic sales efforts with large global enterprises. Mr. Binod Singh, who is the founder, chairman, and CEO of Cross Identity, is a highly respected IAM luminary. His contributions to the field for the past 2 decades have been nothing short of pioneering. Notably, he founded and led the world's first complete 360-degree identity security platform. And now let's embark on a journey. Over to Mr. Anand Kumar.
So thank you everyone for joining. We are here to discuss about identity first approach to zero trust security on the cloud. And you will also hear about some of our experiences in implementing the same framework for large enterprise customers, large enterprise global customers for their entire cloud transformation journey. So if we look at this entire transformation which is happening in the industry vertical today, we will see that today we have truly crossed the chasm of why cloud, and it is all about how cloud, right? Organizations are making digital investments and exploring digital strategies and cloud transformation and strategies, of how to get there. But most of them are struggling to achieve the scale which delivers the real business values. Today, there is an increased focus on digital growth, digital transformation, cloud transformation, especially post-pandemic, and cloud transformation and cloud first strategy essentially plays a central role in the overarching business objectives and business strategies and business goals for an enterprise customer. The question that needs to be asked is your organization transforming or falling behind? Yeah, and the second question is that how do you transform from good to great focus, right? So moving on to the next slide, given that your threat surface area and your infrastructure landscape is transforming, how do you essentially take an identity first approach to securing your infrastructure on the cloud? So as more and more companies rush to the cloud, many are essentially scrambling to manage the growing operational complexities of their cloud infrastructure, multi-cloud infrastructure, or hybrid cloud environments. which is resulting into expanded attack surface, right? And as the enterprise expands, so does the threat surface area for cyber attacks. And today, the widening cloud security and cyber security skills gaps, which currently exists in the marketplace, compounds to the problem. And what it is doing is it is essentially leaving the data, digital infrastructure, and your applications increasingly vulnerable. If we have to look at some of the recent analyst reports, we'll find that just in the past year, cloud-based data, uh, which were impacted was near about 40% due to successful ransomware attacks. Ransomware in particular is among the biggest risks organizations face today. And if you look at your environment, you are essentially looking to protect primarily three assets of yours. Number one is infrastructure, number two is application, and number three is data. And you are looking to protect it from whom? So again, essentially from two sources. One is identities, and it can be human or non-human. And the second is endpoint. It can be corporate or BYOD or personal devices or whatsoever. So it's important to take an identity first approach to zero trust security in the cloud. And we also need to understand that cloud is a shared responsibility model. The cloud service providers are essentially responsible for the physical infrastructure security, the hypervisor or host infrastructure security, and the network infrastructure. But the customer responsibility, the list is big. You are still responsible for data security. You are still responsible for operating system security. You are still responsible for application security. You are still responsible for identity and access management, configuration management, compliance, and so on and so forth. And the list keeps going on and on and on, right? So that is the reason why we advocate in the marketplace why it is a necessity to take an integrated approach to successful cloud transformation or digital transformation with identity first, zero trust, security framework. So when we talk about taking an integrated and a strategic approach, we essentially mean for taking an integrated and strategic approach for application modernization, data modernization, and infrastructure modernization, and essentially which requires having a digital foundation to innovate, evolve, and deliver exceptional experiences for your customers and partners. The idea is very simple. The idea is to put security at front of the cloud modernization conversation. So our goal is to help organizations achieve end-to-end security for all workloads across any cloud environment. This means that regardless of the cloud platform of choice or the amount of data and application real estate that you have, security can be built into the workloads to provide a fundamental layer of protection. And that too through security by design, zero trust, and automation enabled approaches. We can help protect workloads across different cloud environments by increasing visibility, reducing attack surfaces, and preserving compliance. One big takeaway is that security cannot be an afterthought. So moving on, Moving on, what an integrated approach does and what it actually means. We need to understand one fact, that cloud is not about migration, it is about transformation. And when we talk about transformation, it's about transforming from sysops to DevOps and as close to no ops as possible through hyper automation. An automation driven approach to true transformation with security, compliance, and governance. Moving on, when we talk about infrastructure modernization, and we just talked about, as I stated earlier, cloud is not about migration, but transformation. So how do you enable IT to offer cloud as a service internally with security, compliance, and governance? Governance also includes cost optimization and FinOps, right? So we have talked about security, we have talked about compliance, we have talked about automation, but FinOps is another area which is becoming highly important for the success of any cloud transformation initiative. Organizations not having put the right foundation are the ones failing to realize the real potential and ROI, and are the one migrating back to data centers and restarting the transformation journey afresh. So the decision that you need to make today is: do you want to do it right to begin with, or do you want to go through the same journey what others are essentially experiencing currently? So, talking a little about FinOps. So, FinOps is another area which is very, very critical in addition to security, compliance, governance, and automation. And FinOps is all about, cost visibility and transparency. It's all about cost allocations. Cloud is not cheap, right? So that's the reason we keep talking about governance and FinOps at the same length as security, compliance, and automation. Because it's very important that you have your budgeting and forecasting of your cloud spend in check. You ensure that your resources are properly being tagged. You ensure that all the cloud resources are constantly being optimized and right sized. You ensure that you take advantages of all the cloud provider offerings, whether it is the savings plan or reserved instances or anything like that they're offering. You keep a tab on all your cost alerts and notifications, and you put a proper policy and governance when it comes to your cloud spend. And obviously, you focus on continuously monitoring your spend and doing the proper analytics with respect to where you are having any leakages whatsoever. And also, when we talk about FinOps, it is important to realize that FinOps is also about helping maximize the value created by the spend instead of focusing on the cost per month. We need to focus on the cost per business metric and always make decisions with the business value in sight, right? So moving on, data modernization. So when we talked about taking an integrated approach to modernization, we essentially talked about infrastructure, data, and application. So now we talk about the data modernization. And modernizing an organization's data is really to modernize an organization itself, right? It involves the advancement of an organization's technology, operations, and processes, right? Historically, what organizations have been doing is taking an incremental approach to data modernization and essentially addressing the most immediate pain points, and then subsequent issues as they occur. But this strategy and the incremental approach has not address the core issues, right? And the core issues are addressing the data that is frustratingly, inaccessible, fragmented, and it's locked away in disparate silos. So what we essentially need to do is take a big picture thinking, right? When we talk about big picture thinking, it is about building a data foundation which lets you accelerate business insights by automating the entire ingestion, curation, discovery, preparation, and integration from data silos across your businesses, right? It lets you create a distributed data environment where all data is connected and can be seamlessly accessed by data management services and utilized by end users or applications, right? Moving on. So here we talk about the third pillar, which is the application modernization. So the application modernization, as we all are aware of, it is all about building cloud native applications and migrating existing applications to modern stacks using microservices and containers, right? And containers, as we all know, it packages an application and its dependencies together. It offers numerous benefits, including portability, scalability, and definitely efficiency. However, they also introduce new security challenges, new security considerations and complexities, right? And we'll talk more about it as we move forward. But and uh, Also, this entire decentralization of computing resources, channels, entities, devices, it's making the traditional perimeter-based security strategies and tools that has been deployed insufficient, right? So here is the reason to essentially give more thought on why we must put identity at the core of cybersecurity strategy and invest in continuous context-aware controls, right? So moving on, we talk about emerging harnessing emerging technologies, and essentially once you have the foundation with security, compliance, and governance, it gives you an opportunity to embrace emerging technologies like as we all know today, generative AI, large language modeling, metaverse, and others as applicable to your specific industries. So foundation is the core to long-term success. So now we talk a little about identity first, and obviously Binod is going to cover in detail about the capabilities of the integrated identity first approach to zero trust security in the cloud. But just as a primer, you know, uh, we all are aware about the zero trust principle. What is it? The zero trust principle is never trust, always verify, right? Verify explicitly. Use least privilege access, just in time and just enough access. Assume breach, right? And the broad adoption of cloud services, digital supply chains, and remote access by employees working from anywhere has essentially eroded the value of legacy security controls at the perimeter of the corporate network. So that is the reason we will talk more in detail about identity first approach, and hence positioning identity as the primary control plane for cybersecurity is absolutely the necessity of today's world, right? So moving on, as I was talking earlier, the static, inflexible, and high-level identity and access management policies are no longer a sufficient source of trust. They don't take into account the continuous and context-aware controls needed to identify and respond to changes in risk and trust throughout the user's journey or life cycle, right? So traditional IAM controls are essentially defined to address a particular risk or audit findings based on static rules and schedules, by providing checkbox compliance. But this legacy approach in today's infrastructure environment, dynamic infrastructure environment, I should say, fails to address security risk in pervasively or in real time, right? So, so in this new world, what we need to do is we need to think consistent. We need to we need to think context based, and we need to think continuous. How do we take an organization from a state of uh, being secured and compliant to continuous security and continuous compliance, right? So moving on, given we talked about taking an integrated approach to infrastructure, application, and data modernization, we talked about identity first approach to security compliance, identity first approach to zero trust security on the cloud. Here on the slide, you see an architecture which we have implemented for large enterprise customers globally, which has enabled IT to offer cloud as a service to its internal customers with all the proper governance, with the integration to ITSM tool of their choice, where proper governance has been applied, before a resource is being provisioned on the cloud. So this architecture essentially gives you end-to-end end-to-end security, compliance, and governance. The whole architecture essentially emphasizes that security, compliance, and governance layer as a framework. You implement it once, so that anything that you put in the middle, which is the application and the business layer, automatically inherits the quality automatically inherits the qualities that you have already built, right? And this is also provides you with a solid foundation from a security, cybersecurity perspective, and provides you with a good solid foundation to take an integrated approach to infrastructure modernization, application modernization, and data modernization. Moving on, we these are some of the platforms that we currently are offering, which is Cloud Edge, Data Edge, and Neutral Zone. And you will get a brochure on this, which you can also download, which is already uploaded on the meeting link. And it essentially is a good foundation for a good cloud foundation for your enterprise, where we take care of all the shared security responsibility model by enforcing identity first approach to zero trust security on the cloud. It also provides you with a robust data foundation for data transformation, where you can ingest data from disparate sources, and yeah, the entire life cycle of data ingestion, curation, the ability to ingest data from disparate sources, the ability to ingest the ability and capability to handle critical data, whether it is PCI, PHI, PII, and so on and so forth. Data curation, data masking, data lineage, ETL, data lake, all the way through visualization. So that's data edge. Neutral zone is a very specific use case where it is a data collaboration platform where we ensure that we are the custodian of the platform, and you are able to come in with your algorithm or with your data, and without the risk of any IP leakages, whether you are collaborating with party A, party B, or party C. We ensure that no IP leakages happens, but it's still at the same time you are able to essentially collaborate among each other. So now, there's, especially with respect to India, as we all are aware that new regulatory compliances are already being, launched and being enforced, and one of them is the SEBI Cloud framework. The SEBI has come out with a cloud framework, for public companies and large enterprise organizations, where they are enforcing all the regulatory requirements and the controls that you essentially need to put to be able to embark on the journey of cloud transformation. And our solutions that we have built, and the frameworks that we have built, and the platforms that we have built, it essentially satisfies all the requirement from a SEBI cloud framework as well. Right? And here we talk about how some of our platforms, whether it is cloud edge or data edge, is essentially aimed at empowering enterprise customers to adhere to all the compliance requirements through identity first zero trust framework, framework implementation for better security posture, and to deal with the real world challenges from a security and compliance perspective. With that, this slide again talks about how our cloud edge platform is a perfect fit, and I think I've already talked enough about the capabilities and functionalities, and obviously we can also meet one-on-one to discuss more. But with that, this is a list of some of our customers that we have helped globally, in the North America region, in Europe, and other parts of the world. We have worked with highly regulated customers in their entire end-to-end digital transformation, cloud transformation, including building their multi-cloud platform, meeting their regulatory requirements, satisfying their, all the security and compliance concerns. And it's also about engaging and partnering with them in continuous development for innovation and maturation of their existing platform, and providing them with continuous cloud operations on a 24/7 basis. And obviously, when I say operations, it is essentially DevOps, right? So we strive to take our customers from a SysOps model to a DevOps model and take them as close to no ops through hyper automation. So anything that we do, obviously, security is the fundamental layer which is baked in it, but automation is our core foundation. With that, I will let Binod put some light on cybersecurity effectiveness by taking identity first approach to zero trust security on the cloud. So Binod, up to you.
Well, AK spoke about the cloud part of it. We all know the difficulties and the complications that we have while we have so much of facilitation that has happened through cloud, but it has brought its own issues and challenges as well. And as AK talked about, you look at AWS, you look at any of the other cloud providers, everybody is talking about the shared responsibility model. And what it truly means is that there is a lot of stuff that needs to be done at the end of the customer, because all that is done by the cloud provider is good management and security for the cloud infrastructure at a micro level. But at the higher level, when we talk about the entire environment as such, there is a lot of responsibility that lies at your end, at customer's end. And truly speaking, when we talk about the solutions available also in the market, the same thing is true. There is, if you look at the cloud security providers like SecureKloud, they have built some excellent platforms, quite unparalleled, frankly, when I look at the market today, in terms of providing very efficient cloud infrastructure services, right from migration to management on an optimal way. But when it comes to security, that becomes another matter altogether. And so coming together of technologies in a shared responsibility model from a delivery standpoint also is as important as shared responsibility model talked about by the cloud providers between them and the customer. And this is exactly what we have done. But let me very quickly move on to talk about AK touched upon the identity first security, and that's what I will talk. And perhaps the best way to talk about is through one of the very, very important documents that came from Gartner very recently, where they talk about the cybersecurity effectiveness, how it can be maximized in today's environment. And I would, as a pace setter, I'll just talk about the three conclusions that Gartner really brings about. The first finding of Gartner is that not only cloud services, but also two other factors which have brought about major change in the security framework. One is the digital supply chains. We know that there's been a total transition from manual supply chains to digital supply chains and remote access by employees. These three are working. These things have eroded the value of legacy security controls. That's what Gartner very strongly says. And it says, having done that, the only way you can make effective cybersecurity is by positioning identity as the primary control plane. There's no other way you can do it. Gartner also talks about the IAM policies itself. So all organizations have IAM policies, whether you have a tool or you don't have a tool, you do have identity and access management policies in place. And unfortunately, these are static, inflexible, and cannot stand the test of today's challenges, where what you need is continuous and context-aware controls, not static and inflexible policies. And the third point Gartner brings about is about compliance itself. So AK, as an example, touched upon the SEBI compliance. There is the RBI compliance in India. There's also the IRDAI compliance for insurance companies. And they all have, they've all become very serious. There are fairly large number of check boxes that need to be ticked. And I can see when I speak to customers today, almost 95% of the effort is going in trying to take care of that checkbox, those checkboxes. The problem is that these checkboxes are not going to, they will give you the compliance from the regulatory perspective, but they're not going to give you necessarily security. So these are the 3 points that Gartner talks about. And based on that, okay, there is a very, very important conclusion Gartner has come to. Identity and access management has existed for a good number of years. I've personally been involved with this domain for 22 years now. But today, if you look at the domain, it stands split between three different areas. You have the identity governance and administration, which you see on top here. On the right side, you see access management. Below, you see privileged access management. Unfortunately, these three are siloed technology and it doesn't work anymore. So Gartner says with a sense of real urgency that the time has come, the age has come when you need to have convergence between these technologies, and one single product needs to deliver at least what you see inside the orange box. Gartner's prediction is that 70% of new deployments of IAM are going to be of the converged type by 2025, which means this is the way to go. Unfortunately, because this is a new area, most of the technologies still happen to be very old type, traditional technologies in silos. But when it comes to cross-identity as a technology, this stands quite tall today. In fact, if you look at this additional green box that has been drawn on top of the orange box of Gartner, that shows what is it that cross-identity as a part of secure cloud infrastructure covers today. So as you can see here, it covers everything in identity governance and administration. It covers everything in access management, almost everything in privileged access management. Now, the traditional technologies not only do not provide you with the possibility of solving all problems with one piece of software, but they're also getting very fast outdated. Take an advantage of privileged access management, which I'm sure most of you have. But many of you may not be knowing that there is a new wave that has come in privileged access management, which is called CPAM, and not very many vendors in the industry are offering that. CPAM stands for Cloud PAM, and it is absolutely essential if you're moving to cloud, because besides doing the traditional privileged access management, managing those affairs, it also takes care of the cloud management. So I'm sure some of you have heard of cloud infrastructure and entitlements management. CPAM contains CIEM. It contains the entire life cycle management of a privileged user, right from the time you have to create that privileged user to the time you have to give him some additional entitlements or authorizations, to the time you have to disconnect or do governance functions like the access certification of the CPAM, of the PAM user. Even things like segregation of duty controls for the PAM user, you need to bring in. Cloud makes it imperative that you have those kind of controls available, which traditional privileged access management products don't offer. So this was just an example I was giving that come cloud, your earlier ways of managing and doing identity and access management is not going to work. If you look at just as a comparison, the technology like the cross identity has got almost everything in the identity governance and administration, which the traditional vendors who serve only IGA purposes, they bring to the table. But at the same time, it's a composite software. And the beauty is that this whole thing is available to you through the secure cloud infrastructure and support system. It has been baked in. It has been totally integrated with the infrastructure and the solution that Secure Cloud has. In fact, if you look at the converged IAM platforms, which is the way to go, there are, Gartner talks only of 4 vendors at this point in time. Atlantis is nobody but cross identity. The next 2 software that you see out here are from China, and currently they do not serve outside China. And the fourth one, which is Safed, is from Latin American region, and currently these guys do not provide support outside the Latin American region. So it is important that you look at a converged solution like what is available with SecureKloud, where the infrastructure management as well as identity and access management are available. It's also important that you look at converged IAM in today's, if you're wanting to implement identity and access management, because converged IAM is much better and stands much taller than the traditional identity and access management software. I wouldn't go into the details of this. In every possible way, the technology of cross identity has been recognized and felicitated by the top guys in the industry. So we are proud partners with SecureKloud, which is already a leader in the cloud security solution. In today's landscape, cloud concerns are on the rise, and an all-in-one solution like the one in the converged identity and access that has been baked in by SecureKloud is the only solution. With that, I come to the end of this presentation. Please connect with SecureKloud for more information on the identity and access converged platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Binod. That was like great insights. And we'll now move on to the like Q&A session. I think the medium is actually open for all. To if you have any questions, like I can just come up with, or you can just shoot it out to either Anand Kumar or Binod Singh. Yeah. Yeah, we have a question here in the chat. I believe that Anand Kumar can answer this. How does automation facilitate the implementation and management of a zero trust security framework?
So automation is key, right? Because infrastructure as a service is infrastructure as a code. And automation is especially key when it comes to improving security, reducing any human error, enables you to essentially respond faster to threats and ensure that security policies are consistently enforced across the dynamic cloud environments. However, it is essential to design and configure automation with security in mind and regularly review and update automation workflows to adapt to changing threat landscape, if you will.
Thank you for answering that, Anand. And yeah, if you guys have any other questions, like there is a chat box that's available for you, so I can drop any questions that you want to ask. In the meanwhile, okay, there is another question for you. So how can we continuously monitor and access the security posture in a cloud-first zero trust environment?
See, it's a trick question, right? So continuous monitoring and assessment it's not a one-time task, but it's an ongoing process. It needs to be integrated into your organization's security culture. You need to regularly adapt your security strategy to address new threats and vulnerabilities, and especially in this dynamic environment, and some of the requirements to get to that state is, again, what we have been talking about, the implementation of a converged IAM platform for end-to-end user lifecycle management. In addition to that, there are other components like SIEM, CISPM, log management, endpoint security like EDR and MDM, and so on and so forth. Network security components like microsegmentation, VPC, and network monitoring. Cloud. I already talked about CSPM. Cloud security posture management. And continuous compliance monitoring. And there are many more other components to this as well. But as I told earlier, it's not a one-time task, but it's an ongoing process.
Thank you, AK. I believe the next question is on converged AM, and I think this is for Binod Singh. And does converged IAM also contain the latest developments in privileged access management for the cloud?
Yeah, so absolutely yes. In fact, I was giving an example of privileged access management only. The coming in of cloud and moving into cloud infrastructure has radically changed the requirements of privileged access management. There are hardly any exceptions. All the market leaders in privileged access management do not, period, they do not provide the cloud infrastructure related solutions. These are all old solutions which have been kind of, for namesake, they have been moved into cloud, and they're now giving the same old wine in a new bottle, which is bottle of cloud, but it does not take care of some of the most critical issues that have been thrown open at the privileged access management side because of cloud. And as I was talking, the privileged user, for example, has to be managed far more stringently than has been managed in the past. His entire life cycle of usage, his being given any additional privileges, his access is being certified continuously, his segregation of duty violations being checked continuously, and his deprovisioning being done instantly when he leaves. Those are far more critical today than the traditional nuances of privileged access management. And there are hardly any solutions that address these, because these are all new challenges. The solution that you have with SecureKloud, which with cross-identity integration, addresses all these challenges. So yes, in one word, the answer to your question is yes.
Oh, thank you, Binod. I hope that answers the question. And I think AK, I think you can answer this. In the era of remote work and widespread mobile device usage, how does a zero trust approach help organizations secure their endpoints and ensure secure access from anywhere?
Can you repeat the question again? Sorry.
Let's say in the era of remote work and widespread mobile device usage, how does a zero trust approach help organizations secure their endpoints and ensure secure access from anywhere?
Yeah. So again, it's not an answer that can be provided. This is a subject by itself, right? But at a high level, the zero trust approach essentially provides a robust security framework that aligns with the realities of remote work and mobile device usage, right? It enables organizations to secure their cloud environment while allowing employees to work from anywhere, ensuring that security is not compromised in this process, right? So zero trust assumes that no user or device should be inherently trusted, regardless of their location or network connection. So, as I told earlier during the presentation, just in time and just enough access, right? But this is a topic by itself on which we can do an entire webinar. At a high level, say right now.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. And I think we have another question for Binod. So someone says, I already have an access management solution. How I can utilize cross identity?
See, the interesting thing about the converged IAM solution like cross identity is that while the entire platform is available, it does not mean that if you already have invested in a part of the technology, you have to discard and throw it away. The converged IAM architecture allows for all the existing modules of identity and access management, if you want to continue with them, to coexist along with the rest of the modules coming in from the cross-identity converged identity IAM solution. So in other words, the convergence can also be allowed by the architecture between some modules of the converged IAM solution or cross-identity solution and the existing investments that have been made in some other modules by the customer.
Oh, thank you, Binod. Thank you for answering that. Okay. Then we have another question. Okay, I think it's shooted towards you. How does a proactive and structured approach to regulatory compliance align with cloud first strategy? So this is one question. And what are some best practices for maintaining compliance in a dynamic regulatory landscape? Yeah.
You were breaking up for me. Can you come again? Sorry.
Yes, okay. I can repeat it. How does a proactive and structured approach to regulatory compliance align with cloud first strategy? And then what are some best practices that you would recommend for maintaining compliance in a dynamic regulatory landscape?
Yeah, when you talk about meeting your regulatory compliance challenges, it is not any different. They don't talk anything different than you putting a robust security compliance and governance framework in place, right? And and you having a good solid foundation to essentially build upon it, right? So having a foundation, having a cloud foundation to begin with is the fundamental requirement to meet any regulatory compliance challenges that you have to, whether it is SEBI, whether it is HIPAA, whether it is PCI, or whether it is any other, and obviously it gets a little more expanded when you are also looking into your data compliance challenges, whether it is GDPR or any other that you have, or whether it is about meeting the regulatory requirements from a critical data perspective, whether it is PHI, PII, PCI, on and so forth. So it all starts with you having a good solid foundation, and anything and everything that we have talked in this webinar, essentially enables you to meet those regulatory requirements that you are challenged with. Now when it comes to now when it comes to continuous security and continuous compliance, that is where we have talked about during this webinar about having an automation enabled approach to continuous security and continuous compliance, which is going to help you overcome all the human errors, which is fundamental and critical for all the cybersecurity challenges that organizations are currently faced with, right? And we also did quote some of the numbers by analysts where they are talking about that more than 50% of the cybersecurity attacks or ransomware attacks that has happened on the data on the cloud or the infrastructure on the cloud is because of the human error or configuration mistakes or challenges that organizations have essentially committed. So so in a nutshell, have a good solid cloud foundation, take an automation enabled approach, have an identity first approach to zero trust security on the cloud, and which will help you overcome and meet any regulatory compliance challenges that you may have.
Thank you, Aki. Believe that answers the question. And now there is another question on converged IAM, and I think it's shooted towards Binod. So why are there so few vendors for converged IAM?
Well, our industry is a little funny from that point of view. I always say that products which are state of art are very young, and the products which are very well known are already obsolete. The typical cycle of innovation in our industry is about 3 to 4 years. On the outer side, maybe 5 years. But what happens is most of the vendors, when they come out with a technology, and the more successful it becomes, more difficult it is for them to change their current platform. If it is a vendor A, which has been which launched an identity and access management solution in 2000, let us say 12 years ago, and now the technology has undergone, the challenges have undergone so much of changes that the old architecture is no more sufficient to meet the challenges. Unfortunately, because the larger the installed base that you have, the more revenue you need to protect. And therefore, you find it very difficult to bring about a radical change in infrastructure, because that would lend itself to the old way of installation, the old installation not working. And there will be a major migration that customers will have to do. Now, that is not that creates a lot of issues, because the customer would say that if I have to make so many changes, might as well consider a new platform. And therefore, the more successful of the vendors from a point of view of larger deployments, larger number of deployments, are always the ones which fall behind. Identity and access has been there for a long time, and there are very few vendors. When we got into this about 5 years ago, we didn't have 5,000 installations to protect, and so we could very boldly come out with an architecture which later on was talked about by Gartner. You saw that just now, the Gartner statements on converged IAM. But we thought, and we built that platform almost 3.5, 4 years ago. We didn't have a lot of legacy to protect, and therefore we could stand to build something which is what really suits the requirements of and challenges of customers today. So that's the reason. There's a technical reason, of course. It's not easy to build these platforms afresh. There's also a commercial reason, which I spoke about, because of which vendors shy away till such time they cannot help it anymore and they have to do it. That is going to happen in a year or two when converged IAM will be the 70 to 80% of the customer requirements is going to be only converged IAM, and that would force the all the vendors to go in for that. There is no escape. So that's why you don't see so many vendors today.
Thank you, Binod. I think that answers well. And I don't see any other questions in the panel, so maybe we'll wait for a few more seconds. So yeah. I believe that's it. And thank you, Anand and Binod, for answering all the questions. And we have come to the conclusion. And as we conclude this enlightening session, I'd like to express our sincere gratitude to all our attendees and speakers. And I'd like to say that your active participation had made this webinar a very important one. And the journey to secure, efficient, and innovative cloud practices is ongoing. We hope the insights gained today will propel you forward in your cloud-first, zero-trust endeavors. And finally, I'd like to say that just stay connected with SecureKloud for future webinars. There are more webinars that will be just organizing on different subjects. I think we'll have industry experts, who will be who would always be to educate the cloud arena along with cloud security insights. So just stay updated, and we'll update you through our newsletter. So any other upcoming webinars will be sent to you. So yeah, thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you all.